Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to another Saturday vlog. You join me here at Rye House on a rather sunny and warm day. We've recently had a heat wave in the UK and it's starting to come down a little bit, but it's going to be horribly hot. The last time I was at Rye House, it was horribly hot then as well for the SP60, because the SP40 wasn't running then, so it was just the SP60 I was doing on the Saturday. I was losing about half a kilo every single time we went out. No, sorry, it wasn't half a kilo. It was a kilo over half an hour. So the amount of people that were coming in underweight was impressive, if impressive isn't the right word to use. But yeah, a bit of a sentimental one for me is Rye House, because Rye House is the circuit where I got my very first go-kart. It was a Devenson's chassis. I couldn't tell you what the model of the chassis was, but I know it was blue, and I know it was an absolute tank and not a particularly competitive chassis, but it was my first go-kart, and therefore it was the best go-kart. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, where would it be? So we're going around the first corner now, around Grandstand. I'm pretty sure just about here was maybe my second time out, third time out on it. I ended up buried in this tyre barrier because it was a little bit wet and slidey, and as I came around the grandstand corner there, I just ran out of talent, because I didn't have that much talent when I was younger. No, I mean, you could argue that I don't now, but yeah, just ran out of talent and ended up ploughing it straight into there, and there wasn't actually that much damage. There was just a little bit of bent side pod and that bent side pod and hurt pride, but because that was my first proper go-karting crash, everything was broken and ruined, and it was a very, very sad moment. But in the grand scheme of things, I think Dad and I came to learn that that was probably the least of our crashes or concerns in terms of a crash. But anyway, yes, long first corner here at Rye House, tightens up, and it looks like it's been resurfaced since we were here last, maybe. I kind of feel like when we were here a few years ago it had been resurfaced, but maybe they've done it again. Or it's just held up quite well. But yeah, there's also, we'll get to it in a minute, there's a new corner here at Rye House. I don't know how it's going to affect the racing. It looks a little bit clumsy from the onboard footage I've been able to find on the YouTubes. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I kind of feel, well, I'll talk about it more when we get there. Oh, there's a blockade. We're walking straight into a blockade. We're not allowed to go this way. I don't think we're taking this corner. Who knows? We'll go past the blockade, because I don't think we're using that, using this long, sort of wide hairpin. Oh, Clarence must have been doing PE. I'm pretty sure we're using the hairpin down at the bottom. So let's scoot past this here tyre barrier. Oh, someone's left out cones, look. Someone's left out cones, so we know where to brake and where to turn in for the hairpin. I wonder if they'll stay. I can't imagine so, they'll probably go. Tricky one is Rye House to get right, because there's a good couple of very slow corners. I mean, this, no, I was about to say that this hairpin was probably the slowest on the calendar, but I don't think it is. I think the slowest corner on the calendar is probably the dog leg at Rissington, just because that is such an acute angle on the curb. But I don't know, maybe that's a close second. Having a kart with good bottom end, or I say drawing a kart with good bottom end is important for Rye House. Top end, not the end of the world, because it's, I say, relatively simple. I mean, you still got to do it, but it's relatively simple to defend going into the first corner. Into that hairpin actually can be a bit tricky, because obviously if you go super defensive, then you're going to have absolutely nothing on the way out, which then could leave you vulnerable. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Looks like they put some things down. I remember last time we were here, people were using this this blocked bit to open up the radius of the corner. Still got the very old school curb on the apex of this one. And I can imagine our crane friend is going to have left us by the time that we get to racing. But yeah, I'll go back to my story of getting my first kart. So it was in this pit building thingy that I found out was mine. And at that point, I didn't actually have a proper go-kart suit. So I was wearing sort of, what was I doing? I was wearing jeans and kind of like a jumper with then my all-in-one motorcycle wetsuit that I wore whenever I was on the back of Dad's bike. So, and it was it was probably a day that was quite similar to this. So I was absolutely sweating my nuts off. Which wasn't fun. And then we went into the kart shop, that they may or may not still have, and got a proper kart suit and donned me up. And I ended up looking very chap. I'll put a photo. I have a photo of me looking like a right little happy chap at Rye House with my first go-kart. And here it is. Here's the new section. Going in, it's almost like the entry is almost a little bit like the entry into Pylon, the old version of Pylon. That I think is still going to exist in various forms, but we're not allowed to use it because of works that are going on. So we have to use the new section. Tyres right up and over. On the videos I've seen online, these sort of little sleeping policeman jobbies weren't there, so they're obviously a new addition to try and stop people from cutting it too much, but then we're also going to have tyres there as well. But I think it's going to be a case of really trying to get over and stay as right as possible coming through here. And then the left-hander isn't too dissimilar to the next right-hander that comes up. It's a bit more squared off. Relatively low curb. I don't think you're going to want to be taking too much of it, although it does look like people have been taking quite a bit of this second part. I say curb, it's just kind of like an extension of track actually by the looks of it. It's just asphalt that's been painted. God, use your words, Tim. So yeah, I've got a feeling that at some point, maybe not today because longer races, and that's not to say that people don't do silly things on Saturdays, but I've got a feeling like someone is going to end up in there at some point over the weekend, and probably going to end up in there quite hard because I can foresee someone absolutely sending it into that right-hander part and yeeting someone into the barrier. Hopefully not, but I can see it happening. Doesn't look to be too much grip around the outside either, so if you sort of do go for the move and it doesn't come off, I think you're going to end up being quite disadvantaged. I don't think you're going to be able to necessarily run around the outside and try and hold on before the right. So if someone does manage to sort of hold it going into the left-hander, yeah, I think you're just going to have to accept it, tuck back in, and you might even lose a position out of it. But you go over this little rise, and then we're rejoining the circuit as we knew it from last time. There's the old version of Pylon. I don't know if it's even still called Pylon. The Pylon Growth, whatever that happens to be. Ooh, they've changed the curb here, I think. This was... Have they? No, maybe this was the same as it was last time. And then it was different the time before that. But yeah, kind of like more of like a rampy kind of curb that... No, it was like this last time. It was the blocks the time before that. So yeah, a bit of a rampy style curb that you don't actually probably want to take too much of because it will just cause you to slide or pitch or just like, yeah, I remember taking that last time and it didn't help you go any faster, so we won't be doing that today. Speaking of things we're doing today, as I stare off into the very nice sky that is so blue, it looks like it's been enamelled. I think it's some sort of situation normal in terms of what I want to try and achieve. I think SP40, the goal is to try and end up on the podium, although I've been making that seem harder than it actually is over the last few rounds. I don't think I've actually got onto the podium for SP40 yet this year, so that's going to be a target today. This is a new curb. That's different, so we can take a bit more of this and open up the last corner. Yeah, so I'm trying to get onto the podium, I think, for SP40 and trying to maintain a run of podiums, I think. A run of podiums. Maybe it's not a run of podiums, I don't know. But trying to stay within the top 3 or 4 for the SP40 as well. Ryan is back this weekend, so yeah, we will have a more representative idea of where we are against Ryan after the round. But yeah, it should be good fun. They've removed some of the speed bumps as well from the exit of the last turn. There were definitely more speed bumps like that coming out the last turn last time. So from what I remember, you don't really want to take too much because you'll ground out over this curb, which won't help you be any quicker. And then if you're defending, you go way over here and white line it all the way down to turn 1. If you're not, then you just blast it off. And happy days, you go for another lap around Rye House. Qualifying last time out was good. Just need to try and do the same again. And then, yeah, see if we can get a podium for, whatchamacallit, for the SP40 this weekend and try and get on the podium again for SP60. That's the aim. Let's find out how qualifying went. So, qualifying was good. P3 in qualifying. A couple of tenths off Kurt and Anwar, but all in all, like it was pretty good. Joe was in front during the qualifying session, and so I sort of keeping pace to him okay. He actually bailed early, which maybe wasn't the best idea because everyone else seemed to set their best laps pretty much on the last lap or so of the qualifying. That put us on obviously the good side of the grid going into turn 1 here because it's such a long right-hander. Being on the inside really, really beneficial. Got up into second past Kurt. And then, yeah, it was a bit of a lonely race, but it was like I was being kept honest by Kurt and Joe behind, and Anwar was pulling out a little bit, and then I lost a little bit of time with lap traffic, but it was better to get past that safe than try and rush things and end up getting swallowed up by Kurt and Joe. So all in all, a pretty good race 1. Unfortunately, I set the second fastest time, which now puts me on the outside of the grid for heat number 2. Not heat number 2, for race 2, which hopefully I'm able to sort of hold it round the outside enough to the point where I can minimise the damage. Because I think, I mean, if I can hold second, amazing. But I kind of feel like if you're on the outside on second here, you're kind of resigning yourself a little bit to having to tuck in and then make some places back. So we'll see. It's hot though. God blimey, it's too hot. Hence why I'm stood in the shade at the moment. Yeah, I tell you what, that new chicane as well. That is exactly what the last chicane at Wilton Mill should be. That was really fun to drive. You can hop it, and it's just enough so you get a bit of a lift, and then land and turn in, but not enough that you're gonna just go off into the sky and just go to the moon. So yeah, hopefully good result on race number 2, and see how it goes. So it turned out I wasn't actually second on the grid, I was third, which was quite nice actually. The Anwar and Sam Bentley had set exactly the same time, so it put me on third, which is the side of the grid I wanted to be. And then yeah, I was the biggest loser at the restart when Joe defended going into hairpin. I followed that. Kurt went around the outside, or you'll have seen. So yeah, not ideal. And then yeah, the mid race, just I made a couple of mistakes that really didn't help. Meaning it took like maybe a couple of laps more than it really should have to get past Stuart. And then once I got past him, like I was able to break down that reasonably big gap to the guy in fifth, but yeah, it just wasn't enough. Caught him with a couple of laps to go, and then he white lined it. Did a good job defending, to be fair. Tried a couple of moves, which didn't really come off, but is what it is. On the bright side, going into the SP60, pace feels good. These tyres, they're not the Dunlops this weekend, they're a different tyre. But yeah, they felt good, they're pretty consistent, so we'll see. We just need to try and capitalise on the positives from this morning and see if we can come away with another SP60 podium. That's the aim. So we'll do qualifying, see how we come out, and then into race one. So qualifying was good. We got some friends as well in the awning because it's too hot today and it's shade, which is good. That kart was really good. Hopefully the guy that took it in the lightweights goes on pole as well. If he doesn't, something is wrong. But yeah, so yeah, pole for me. Ryan, where did you go, Ryan?
Seventh, and then he promoted me to sixth.
Seventh. He's trying to make it more difficult for him.
Yeah.
And Scott, where did you go?
15th.
15th.
I'm still adjusting to the new layout. They've bastardised the pylon, haven't they?
No, it's just to make the racing more fun.
Of course it is.
Yeah, more overtaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be good. Starting on the inside, which is good. Even if I'd have not been pole, third would have been fine, fifth would have been fine. Just you don't want to be on the outside for turn one here. You're just going to get absolutely monstered. So step one done. Let's see if we can turn it into a win. Well, that was bloody hard work. The front end on that just didn't want to get in round turn two. I don't know if it's still part of turn one or turn two, but like the tightest part of the first right-hander. And yeah, the motor saved me in that. The motor was good. So P3 in the end. Alex was flying, which was good for him. Kind of good for me as well, because it means I end up third on the grid rather than second. So behind Anwar, and hopefully can get a decent run off the line. Hopefully got a decent motor, decent handling kart, and we can try and make it difficult for him. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in race number 2. I will say as well, like Sam Bentley kept me very honest in that. He was right up my chuff. What an absolute fanny. Just, I mean, I don't know how to how to put into words that race. Start was fine. Got done by Alex. I mean, he had great pace in that one, so I mean that was probably going to happen anyway. And then Anwar didn't have the cart, so he was defending really, really well. And yeah, just there was a massive train, which is exactly what Anwar would have wanted to do. That's why it was so hard. And yeah, so from massive train, I then just never really felt comfortable. Like sending a move, like it would have been like round the outside of hairpin 1, but I never like felt comfortable making the move. And because I was just like, well, if I go wide, I'm just going to get absolutely sent by everyone down the inside, or if I get alongside Anwar, it'll just run me wide and I'll have to back out and I'll lose a load of momentum going into hairpin 2. So yeah, massive fanny. And then from that, I ended up just sort of being knocked about here and there, and ended up falling back, and that was that. Ended up off the podium. So that's kind of two race 2s to forget. Not ideal. And then what makes it worse is then having like a Holmes like grandstand that then rip you to shreds when you come in. So yeah, I'm glad I'm not a Holmes boy, because that would be brutal growing up with that. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. It is what it is. We move on to the next round. I think it's Clayford. No, it's not. I think it's Clayford Meadows, and hopefully a little bit less of a spanner at that one. We'll see how we go. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, until next time, have a good one.